Hello, tarot lovers. This is Mervat from the Egyptian Mystic. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is interesting. I want to talk about this gorgeous out of print deck, the Impressionist Tarot. It's by Cory Kenner and artwork by Arturo Pica. And this is a gorgeous out of print deck who was published 2015 by Los Carabeo. I had it since that time and I've always wanted to talk about it. So today I want to have this opportunity to talk and show you the cards and speak about this movement, the Impressionists. And let me show you the box. It's like this, and the book is really a gem. The cards, I will show you the cards now, but the book is really very well written. You will see the quality is perfect, and this is the author, Cory Kenner, and the artist, Arturo Pica. And here she talks about the Impressionists, and let me read some lines. It's around in Paris around the year 1864, so at the end of the 19th century. And in Paris was the heart of Impressionism, a rebel movement founded by a handful of avant-garde artists. At the time, in the Second Empire of Napoleon III, a jury of state-sponsored academics chose which paintings would be shown in an annual salon. Most of the Impressionists never made the cut. They needed to show their work to sell it, so they organized their own exhibition in defiance of the status quo. They called it the Salon des Refusés, the exhibition of rejects. And the Impressionists were modernists inspired by the invention of the camera and photography. They pictured the world as if they were looking through a camera lens, and their paintings looked like snapshots. And they used stark, colorful, bright colors, and they started to draw ordinary people, landscapes. They wanted to draw movement, the light and the water surfaces, and so on. So it is here she talks about the Impressionists and their I want to find the word, what they were recognized for. They used fleeting impressions of scenes and settings, ordinary people, shimmering flashes of natural light, outdoor landscapes, partial figures of people, and so on. And those were Edward Manet, Claude Monet, Pierre-Auguste Renoir, and Edgar Degas. And the post-Impressionists moved it a little bit further. Those were Vincent van Gogh and Paul Gauguin, and they were more personal and used more color and forceful brush work, geometric angles and shapes. So I like the introduction very much, and this is one of the a spread. I mean, this is the only spread, and the way it's written is really gorgeous. You will see here it has this border like a photograph. Here she says what's the name of the artist, first impressions of the image, inspiration, which painting was it inspired by. So in each image you will see the name of the original art that was inspired from. And here, illumination, like a connection with astrology, interpretation and insight. So the book is really gorgeous, and I've studied the book. I liked it so much, and I want to show you the cards, and I will be getting back to the book because it's so important. So those are the backs of the cards, like the backs of a painting. I edged it in this color, and the artwork is really, really gorgeous. This is the Fool, which is by Vincent van Gogh, and it's a portrait of himself walking by this wall and trying to balance himself. And this is by Paul Gauguin, who was so rich, and he left the place and traveled to Tahiti and stayed there, and he was so inspired by these people, and most of his artwork you will see these Tahitian people. So in the Magician, this is an image of a Mabu man, and those men were men in gender, but they used to dress like women, and they used to work in the temples, and they were really highly regarded. So this is the magician, and you see the tools here. And here the high priestess, she's a lady. He saw that she was so beautiful, and the original painting, she had a flower here, so it was replaced by this crescent moon. And I think this is by Giovanni. He was an Italian artist who used to draw beautiful, wealthy ladies. So this is the image. She was at a bar or something like that. This is by Vincent van Gogh, the emperor. That's a portrait of himself. And the Hierophant here is one of his friends who was, he owned an art supplies shop, and he used to trade his supplies by the finished art. So he was so kind and liked by most of the artists at that time. And in the lovers here, it's by Paul Gauguin, and those are two Tahitian people. And the chariot is by Edgar, I think Edgar Davis, I think. Edgar, let me remember the name because I don't want to make a mistake. Edgar Degas, and that was in horse races, which was so popular, and he liked to draw these images very much. He was so fond of animals and the movement of the animals. So that's the chariot here. And the strength was inspired by two portraits. It was by Edward Manet, and it was inspired by Pertusset, the Lion Hunter, 1881, and Luncheon on the Grass, 1863. So it was a photo for one of the hunters who was so famous, and she replaced it by this lovely lady from another painting. So that's the strength card. And this hermit is by Vincent van Gogh, and you see the countryside in Holland. And he used to draw his drawings when he was in Holland. It was more dark, but when he went to Paris, he started to use brighter colors. So I like this image. It's for a peasant. And here is the Wheel of Fortune by Edgar Degas, and you see the horses racing. And he was so fond of the movement of the animals, and he used to spend a lot of time during these races to be able to draw and get a proper feel of these animals while they were moving. And this is by, I think, by Renoir. This is the Justice card. So she was a lady sitting like this, and I think the balance and the sword were added to the image to give you the feeling of the Justice card. I like this Hanged Man so much. It's by Monet. I think it's by Claude Monet. Let me make sure. It's by, yes, Claude Monet. And I love the image so much, because you see, he sees his reflection in the water, and he was so fond of drawing water and the reflection of light on water and so on. So I really like this image so much. This is a Vincent van Gogh, the Death card. You see the crows here and the field. You see the strokes of color and the contrast between the sky and the field. It's gorgeous. The artwork is really stunning. It's talking to you. And this is the Temperance card, which I do love the image so much. If you look at her face, she looks so innocent and really so concentrating. And I think she was a bartender. Let me make sure of the name. By Edward Manet, and the Edward Manet, a bar at the Folie Bergère, 1882. So that was a bar, and this is the bartender. She was called Susan, and she looks so innocent, although she was working on a bar, and you see the contrast and the way he had her features captured. I love this card very much, one of my favorites. And the devil here is by Vincent van Gogh. I think this was a very kind man who was the postman, I think, if I recall the name properly. It's Vincent van Gogh. Portrait of the postman Joseph Rollin, 1888. So this postman was really one of his friends, but the image, he captured the image in a very strange way. And look at this. There were many things that were added. Here you see these were Mars and Venus, the handcuffs here, and you see the way these are like horns. So it was really redone in a very nice way to capture the feel of the devil. This is the tower, and that was the tower at one of his in his homeland by Vincent van Gogh. I think it's called the Old Church Tower at Newnen, the Peasants' Churchyard, 1885. He drew this image, and he was so he liked so much to paint the peasants and to draw their images. And this is the most famous of his paintings by Vincent van Gogh, the Starry Light. You see how he captured, he portray of him. I think this is a portrait of himself. Let me check. Vincent van Gogh, the Starry Night. It was Van Gogh's most famous work, and that's the image. You see how he captured the stars, so beautiful. And this is the moon card by Vincent van Gogh, peasant going like this, and you see the reflection and these two trees. The images are really so powerful. And this is the sun card. I think it's by Monet. The moon, no, the sun card is by Claude Monet, yes. Sunrise, 1872. The sunrise, 1872. And you can see the reflection of the sun and the boats there, and these two are sitting waiting for the sunrise. And this is the judgment card, and this is by Edward Manet. And it was written here that it was so shocking. I want to read from the guidebook. Edward Manet, Luncheon at the Grasse, 1863, and Portrait of Madame Brunet, 1860 to 63. 63. 60. What's wrong with me? 63. The novelist Émile Zola was a fan of Manet's art, and he praised it to high heaven. The Luncheon on the Grass is the greatest work of Edward Manet, he wrote, one in which he realizes the dream of all painters to place figures of natural grandeur in a landscape. Two young men are seated across from a second woman who has just exited the water and who dries her naked skin in the open air. This nude woman has scandalized the public, who see only her in the canvas. My God, what indecency! A woman without the slightest covering between two clothed men. That has never been seen. So, of course, they were really so brave, and it was so strange and scandalous at that time. So it's really nice to read those lines and how people regarded their artwork. So I find the book really so interesting, and I enjoyed it. I felt that I'm in Paris during that time. And here is the world card, beautiful. And then the minors, where each suit of the minors was dedicated to one of the artists. So for the ones here, it's dedicated to Edward Manet's spark of genius. Born to wealth and privilege, Edward Manet was classically trained, but he didn't paint portraits of royalty and high society. Instead, he depicted ordinary working people who lived in a world of radiant color and glowing light. Manet dared to express himself as no other artist had done before. In the process, he blazed a trail for the artists who followed him. So that's why, because he was so innovative and so creative, he was, his art was like how do you call it? Was like a pioneer for these artists. And in this deck and this suit, you see, this is the first image. That's the Ace of Wands. And this Two of Wands, you see a lady getting dressed, Two of Wands, and like a ballerina or so, and ready to do her art on stage, dancing or so on. And here the Three of Wands and the Four of Wands. It was an art, it was a painting for him and his wife, who were in the boat. Let me read for you this one, because he drew Monet with his wife, because Monet was using this as his gallery where he used to draw. So it was so interesting. And these two images capture the time of the Emperor Maximilian when he went to try to conquer Mexico. So let me show you what did he say about these two images. Edward Manet. In this image, you see these French soldiers, and these were Protestants, I think Mexicans. And in this image, for the Six of Wands, you see this commander tries to take the attention of the soldiers. And these were inspired by the same art, by the same image, painting, I mean. And this is the Seven of Wands. I think it was in, let me read from where was it? Edward Manet, the house at Ruel. And that was where he stayed for the last summer of his life. So he painted this image in his garden. And this is the Eight of Wands. You see here we see the wands, and here we see the number. So it doesn't disturb the artwork. You see that you are really looking at a portrait and a painting, and you don't feel the number or the image of the suit. And this is the Nine of Wands. And this Ten of Wands was scandalous at that time. I want to read also what was written, because it's really interesting. I want you to feel the energy of this deck. So the Ten of Wands typically depicts an individual weighed down by duty of service. Occasionally, no, this is, I will not read this. I will say that it was called Olympia. Okay, Edward Manet, Olympia, 1865. When Olympia debuted at the Paris Salon in 1865, it wasn't just scandalous, it was offensive. Viewers hated the suggestion that a courtesan could be exhibited like a classic work of art. They were insulted by the brazen symbols in the work, including the orchid in the model's upswept hair, the black ribbon on her pale neck, and the silk shawl that accentuated her naked sexuality. They also didn't appreciate her challenging, confrontational gaze, as if she dared to look her betters in the eye. What's more, the audience wasn't sure of Manet's motives. Was he trying to produce a serious work of art? Was Olympia an attempt to parody classical masterpieces? Or worst of all, was he mocking them? So that was really interesting, because when I read the book and I see the comments and how people viewed these pieces of art during that time. It's really so interesting, and I don't want just to show you the cards without reading from the book. I want you to get involved and feel this deck, because really it's an outstanding deck. And so that was the 10 of Wands, and then here is the Page of Wands. Here is the Knight, the Queen, and the King, which is a portrait of himself. So let's move on and see the Suit of Cups, which is dedicated to Claude Monet. Claude Monet was fascinated by the color of light in all its forms. He captured nature on canvas, and in the process he captivated generations of art lovers. In cities or the countryside, Monet didn't paint merely what he saw, he painted what he felt, beyond the confines of classical ideas. He gave the Impressionists their name, and his liquid landscapes inspired the abstract movement that followed him. So that was the Suit of Cups is dedicated to Claude Monet, and this is the Ace of Cups. This is the Two of Cups, which depicts his wife and his friend who introduced him to her. And this is the Three of Cups. I think it was in England. The Four of Cups, beautiful. And this is the Five, the Six of Cups, the Seven, the Eight, and the Nine of Cups. And this is his lily pond. He was so fascinated by his pond that grew lilies with, and really very impressive. And this is the Page, the Knight, the Queen, and King. That's an image of himself. So then when we move to the swords, we meet Vincent van Gogh. So Vincent van Gogh, when the cutting edge of Vincent van Gogh, I like very much about the choices and of the artists. So when Vincent van Gogh moved to Paris in 1886, he came face to face with Impressionism, and the art world would never be the same. Back home in the Netherlands, he had painted in the tradition of the Dutch masters. In the City of Light, his work became bolder, brighter, and filled with passion. With each passing month, his style became even more energetic, exploding with vibrant colors and powerful brush strokes that still cut right to the quick. I like the introduction about each family, so that's why I want to read it for you. And here are the images. This is the Ace of Swords, a sickle, and you see the contrast between this field and the star, the sky, I mean. And this is the Two of Swords. It's an original painting, beautiful. And this is my favorite Three of Swords of all times. Just have a look at this gorgeous image. He painted this image when he wanted to do a special work with his friend Paul Gauguin, but they had a terrible fight, I think, and he cut his ear. Nobody knows if it was Van Gogh who did this to himself or it was done by his friend, but they had really a large, a huge row. How can I explain this properly? They fought each other, and Paul Gauguin left Paris and went to Tahiti, and he never came back. So this is a beautiful Three of Swords, and I find this the most beautiful Three of Swords, I'm sorry, I mean. And this is the Four of Swords, Café in Paris, the Five of Swords, the Six of Swords. He was so fascinated by this bridge when it was open so that the boats could move. And this is the Seven of Swords, the Eight of Swords, and this is the Nine of Swords. That's the room where he stayed when he was kept because he was so sick. He was in an asylum. And this is the 10 of Swords, the Page. This is an image of his friend Paul Gauguin as the Knight of Swords. And here is the Queen of Swords. He had a thing with her, I think. I can't remember her name. And this is a portrait of himself. It's so inspiring and so full of meanings, and you see the lives of those painters. And for the suit of coins, the Pentacles, Edgar Degas came from a wealthy banking family. His fortune gave him the freedom to break from the Paris art establishment and move into the realm of Impressionism. He was outspoken and opinionated, and he believed that art should reflect the modern world. Degas was also something of a cad. While he was blessed with charm and personality, he was more than willing to portray his models, dancers, singers, and impoverished working women as crude lumps of clay. So he was fascinated by he used to draw nude women, and he used to draw dancers, ballet dancers. He was so fascinated by this, and you will see it in this suit. So this is one of his portraits. Beautiful Ace of Pentacles, and this is the Two of Pentacles. They were rehearsing and talking to each other, two of the dancers, and these three wealthy ladies displaying their lovely hats in the horse races. And this is a Four of Pentacles, like these four hanged on the wall. And this is the Five during a rehearsal, the Six of Coins, Pentacles. And I love this Seven of Pentacles. I really like it. It's a painting of a lady brushing her hair and getting ready and getting dressed. I love this image so much. And this is the Eight of Pentacles. These ladies in a laundry working. And the Nine of Pentacles. A dancer, she's getting ready, looking at herself in the mirror. And this is the Ten of Pentacles. This is the Ace, the Page of Pentacles. A dancer getting ready. The Knight of Pentacles. The Queen and the King. That's a portrait of himself. So this is a gorgeous deck that is like no other. I wanted to talk about it and let you feel how beautiful these paintings were. It's so well done. The paintings were picked very nicely, and the choice of each painter, each artist is great. I like it suits the personality. I mean, Vincent van Gogh suits the suit of swords very well, and I like also Monet for the suit of cups. Even for the pentacles, everything was so well picked, and the measures were very well picked too. I feel so connected to this deck, and I don't see it a lot. I don't see it. I don't see people talking about it. So I thought this is a good chance to show you this gorgeous deck, the Impressionist Tarot, an out of print gorgeous deck. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have this video, I would like to know how you feel about it. If you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer in the comments. Thank you so much for being here. See you on my next video, and bye.